the show, everyone. This is going to be a really cool show. And what I love about my show the most is that it's got such great information for people. And all of my listeners always usually tell me that that's what they love the most about the show. We are live on Facebook, so hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. So we will share the show later on. Listen up, everyone, because this is going to be some really important information for people. Maybe it's you know somebody in this situation, so you can tell them about it. That's what networking is all about. My first guests, I have two with me. I have Tiffany Phelan, and she is the owner of Senior Helpers. I also have with me Kramer-Stupski, but you're now Jennifer Kramer, and she owns Legal Stuff. I want to talk a little bit about why we have been merging you guys together, okay, and a little bit about what you do, and then we're going to talk about some really important things for people to listen up and hear. Go ahead. I'm going to let you go. Jennifer, first. I think she said for you to go first.
I can go first. I will go first. So my name is Tiffany Phelan. I am the owner of Senior Helpers, and what we do in the Valley is we offer non-medical home care to seniors all throughout the Valley. These are folks who are living pretty independently at home but need a little extra help to stay that way. So it could be, we assist people all the way from folks who need help to go to the grocery store. Maybe they don't drive anymore, maybe they, or just don't prefer to drive anymore, or people who need assistance getting to a doctor, just little things like that. And we go all the way through end-of-life care. We work with folks who are, have very profound physical disabilities, and every situation in between. Our goal really is to help our seniors be as independent as they can be, living the life they want to live in the place they want to live in.
And Jennifer?
I am a certified legal document preparer that specializes in estate planning and probates and trust administration, along with a licensed fiduciary, a licensed realtor, a licensed VA claim agent.
We could go on.
And a licensed notary.
Well, but you merge for a reason. And today we wanted to start off with quality of life. And I want you to go ahead and let you go ahead and do this.
Sure. So I think the reason we wanted to talk about quality of life today is because, and I will let you know that Jennifer and I work together quite a bit. And what we've kind of discovered over the last, I've done this about 20 years, as we age, especially for our seniors, oftentimes they stop thinking about all the fun stuff, right? The highlights of life, the garden club, or the things they would do at the senior center, and all of a sudden life becomes very much about, did I take my pills? Can I get to my doctor? Is my medical condition being managed? All those questions, right? Sometimes we have a sick spouse, or our friends are becoming more ill and infirmed, and all of a sudden life becomes less fun, and we're super focused on, we don't want to fall, we want to make sure our medical condition's managed. So what we want to do is infuse some quality of life back into folks' lives. That's something you have to do really intentionally. And there's many, many ways to do it, but I think both of us really work on that quality of life approach to helping seniors lead a better life.
You also wanted to talk about, Jennifer, you help people with their wills and their trust and these things that come and about that are very important that a lot of times either people haven't done or things change, right? Mm-hmm. And you come in, and this is also where you talked about how quality of life, it kind of segues into what you do, and I want you to explain what you mean by that.
So a lot of times, especially when they're getting older, or if they've lost one of their spouses, if they don't have a power of attorney in place, there's no one there to help them make these decisions and navigate through all the obstacles that they're going to run into, especially at the hospital if their kids are out of state, or all those certain things that happen. So that's our number one thing. Make sure there's a power of attorney in place, that someone's there to help guide you through the process.
Absolutely. Now, what you do, this is something that we're going to open up the lines to the audience for everyone, and you do something that no one ever does. Okay, I want you to tell everybody what they're going to get, and then I'll repeat it because it's pretty interesting. Go ahead.
So I do a will package, basically, and it's your last will and testament, it's your power of attorneys, your financial, your health care, your mental, along with your living will, that's your last directives, and any kind of beneficiary documents that you might need.
And it's like a $495 value. How much is it?
$495.
$495 value free to you or anyone that you know. Now, we're going to get everyone entered in to win this. Let me just tell you something. First of all, what's wonderful about Jennifer is you go to them,
Yes.
right? And you've been doing this for over 25 years. She's a fiduciary, so she's looking out for you. And we've talked a lot about how, oh my God, your clients, both of these ladies, their clients mean everything to them. You're all about service. You're all about watching out for them. And you
Right.
listen to their stories and you find out, well, did you do this? Did you do that? And the next thing you know, you have to help them on more things than you can think of. So we're going to leave our lines open here. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. Even if you have one, please have them take a look at it, because you know what? When Jennifer does, there's things that have changed.
Absolutely.
They do all the time. People, especially when you get older, almost daily things happen that change, correct?
And sometimes they're so complicated, you really don't understand what you even signed last year. So if you just have questions, I'm happy to explain it.
Now, she's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. You can, if you want to, you can call her direct. Her number is 602-457-2333. Now, also, we want you to also call for Tiffany. They're senior helpers. Their phone number direct is 480-360-4141. And you can check them out on their website, which is seniorhelperswithans.com. Go ahead. This ain't easy to do, folks, so go ahead. I'm going to let you go ahead and do it.
Well, there's so much information, I think, especially a lot of your listeners, I would bet, are the adult children, right?
Absolutely.
So, and we've both been in that position, both Jennifer and myself. My parents lived separately and both needed assistance, and my father continues to need assistance. And so I think it's one of those things that as adult children, we realize we're facing this big challenge. We love our parents. We want to give them a great experience. Some of us feel very duty bound to do that.
Absolutely.
And we really want to know what's out there, and I just think there are so many things that we can look at. And so I know for me, a big thing for my mother was her not being able to drive anymore.
Oh,
right?
gosh,
That
yeah.
was really big. And we had to have the key conversation.
Mhm.
Actually, unfortunately, in our situation, a police officer had the key conversation. That's a fun story for another day.
Mhm.
But we still had to, follow up and have that conversation and say, you can't drive. And that's a big deal. We get our keys when we're 16 years old. And I think as an adult child, it's very difficult for us to get to the point on that topic, right? To say, hey, Mom, you know what? It's time. You can't do that anymore. And so, as an example of a great way to use senior helper services, what if you were able to have that conversation and say, you know what, Mom, it's not safe for you to drive anymore, but I have a solution for you. I'm
Right.
still going to make sure you get to go everywhere you want to go. You still are in charge. You're still directing your life, right? You don't lose that independence. But really, that's one of those magical conversations where if you come in with a solution, it's going to be a little bit less tense.
Let me say that when you get older, all of these things, that doesn't matter. I mean, really, when you're 18, you should have your last will and testament for sure. But especially when you're older, and a lot of people either haven't done it, they put their heads in the sands of it. But having somebody, we also talked about, we're going to talk about this when we come back too, some of the things that we're going to be talking about in the next hour, people who do become lonely and talk and this, when you have somebody, like when they have people who are caretakers that are in the house, they don't become lonely anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they don't. Now, we've got our lines open here for everyone to get entered into win. It's a last will and testament. That is with everything that you could possibly imagine that you need. It's a $495 value free to you. Our number here is 602-277-5369. And anyone that doesn't win, she always gives 30% off as well.
Absolutely.
So hang tight, we'll be back in just a minute. And when we come back, even though we're live on the phone, on the air right now.
Which one is the
I'm
camera
going
for
to-
Facebook?
Say that again?
Which one's the camera for Facebook?
That over there.
Okay.
Right now I only have one going, and I have theirs going that doesn't have Facebook, but the only reason why is because my GoPro, for some reason, is not hooking up to their new Wi-Fi password that they have. I don't know why. So I've got to figure it out. I need a
Technical
technical person here. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm thinking we go into, how do you have those conversations? Let's say you're the adult child and you just sat here and listened to a couple things that you needed. How do you start that conversation? And maybe you kind of jump
Most
in.
of the time they're worried about how they're going to pay for it. I mean, that generation is so worried about, are they going to have enough money to last them? And that's going to
Or are
flow
they going to have
into
enough
the
money to
beginning.
give their children?
Well, and the children are thinking, how are we going to figure this out? Because I don't have time to be driving her everywhere.
Right.
Which obviously you just touched on. So,
But I have
I
it
love
down.
that. So it's no matter what the situation is, how do you have the conversation? How do you say, hey, Mom, let's
Don't
talk
wait
about
till
your
it's too
will.
late until she
Let's
gets
talk
in a
about your
darn accident.
will. Right?
Yeah. Well, the problem I run into, like, just right now, we just got a case where this woman just popped up to this guy, and all of a sudden he was ill, and his sisters are here locally, right? And all of a sudden they don't hear from him for a month. They're calling they're trying to get well checks and all this stuff done, and this woman isolated him. He passes away. They see him because somehow they knew he was in hospice. I don't remember how. And all of a sudden, here's this woman. She got a new beneficiary deed. She did a whole new will. All these power of attorneys, everything. I mean, and like, it's just
And the
insane to
problem
me.
is you can undo it, but then by the time it's undone, if the money's spent, it's irrelevant.
She wrote a check to an attorney for $12,000 after the guy passed away. I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna have to figure this one out. She did the beneficiary deed. Thankfully, I dealt with her. I think I did her dad's probate. And we did everything to set it up so now an attorney can take over for me because there's going to be litigation. But I hope we stop the sale of the house. I mean, she literally already before, it wasn't even 5 days because literally, yeah, I mean, it was just a few days that he had passed, and she had already had everything off the wall, so floors attached. And we just saw a contract that was recorded in the recorder's office with an investor to buy the house. I mean, she's like turning and burning and moving on. I was like, oh my God, we gotta stop this. That's why you have to find a company that's reputable, that's licensed and bonded, but they're lonely, right? But I mean, the sisters were calling, how do you do that, right? As an older person, who do you call? You can't. They're so nice. I mean, I had a client where they were doing the census and he let her in and she started helping him when he lost his wife. A census worker. I'm like,
Well, I tell you, you don't have to be someone who's outside the family, inside the family. That happens a lot.
You're
more
right.
to do that. So welcome back, everyone. I mean, there's stories upon stories upon stories, and we can talk forever about people who, when you get older, they get taken advantage of and things like that. I'm going to leave you guys on for you to be able to do this yourselves because I want, you know what you want to kind of talk about better than I do, but we do want to tell you that we do have our lines open here for people to be able to call in. Everyone is going to get entered in to win. It is your last will and testament, and it comes with everything that you need. It's a $495 value, free to you or anyone that you know. So you can call in here. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Anyone that doesn't win, she always gives 30% off anyway. And you can call throughout the rest of the show. I want to talk to you a little bit about Jennifer. Let me get you your information over here. But Jennifer, when people call you, right? Well, I want to ask, first of all, before you start going, I want to ask you, when is the best time for them to call you? When is the best time?
For senior helpers, for assistance, I would say any time is really fine. If you have an aging parent especially, the vast majority of our calls, like I said, are those adult children. And the best time to call us is before you need the help, which would be, I would say, right now, right? Start that conversation, because one thing I can say about both Jennifer and myself is we've been doing this for so long that if it's something that we are not needed for at that moment, right? Let's say that the person's still very independent or whatever the case, maybe they just need to figure out how to get Meals on Wheels. We have so many resources that are not involved with us. We can start that conversation, start that relationship, so that as things happen and more help is needed or more serious conversations are needed, you have somebody that you can talk to. I can't tell you how many times I have family members call me and their real question, they kind of know where they want to go with it, but their real question is, how do I tell my mom?
This is what we wanted to talk about too. It's really important because that conversation is the hardest conversation for you to have. But what's great, and I've seen you in action, is that you help people get through that. And that would be wonderful to have you call Jennifer and have her do it for you, because you really don't want to have to do it if you don't have to do it on yourself, because what you think your mother's going to tell you. Don't tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying? So her phone number is 480-360-4141. It's seniorhelpers.com. Go ahead. Oh, by the way, I just want to tell you another thing. Jennifer's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, 5-star rated everywhere is Senior Helpers. These people are the best. Go ahead.
All right. I mean, I think, you know what, Jennifer, I would love to hear you share some of the conversations you've had with family when it's time to get that will done and when it's time to get those healthcare powers of attorney, giving the concept of giving away a little control in the situation, and how do you handle that?
Well, and it's not even the adult kids that I'm having a conversation with. It's actually the people, and I'm happy when they call me ahead of time when I can look through stuff, or the kids will call me and say, hey, can you stop by and see my mom and just talk to her? She's got questions for you, or call her. Those are the ones I like, when the kids are calling me saying, hey, she's got a couple questions, what can you do for her? And I just explain things step by step, and that's all they want to know, is where do we go if you lose a spouse? You know, if the kids step in, the kids want to know how far can we take this, or how much power, not power, but how much control, or, do we have a say in it? If our mom's driving when she shouldn't be driving, and things like that.
But more than anything, we have to be very careful, because we were just talking about this, how sometimes it doesn't have to be the family member, a lot of times it is, but somebody who becomes very friendly with them all of a sudden, that could be a big problem. Having someone that you know that is there, a caretaker that's there and you've gotten to know and you can trust and all of that, boy, what makes that difference right there?
Well, I think one of the really important things to point out, and we've talked a lot about loneliness and things, is that folks, when they have gone from a very full life, like we're all leading now, right? We all can think of the things in our life that make us happy. And when our life changes to be much more lonely, maybe we've lost some loved ones, maybe our children don't live near us, whatever the case may be, there are people around that will be able to identify, right, oh, I see a senior and they look needy, right? And so I think one of the beautiful things about having a professional caregiving company, number one, bonded and insured, background check.
Absolutely.
These are people, we reference check, we get to know them, we have hands-on training. So beyond any of that, having regular care in the house will ward off bad actors.
Oh my gosh, and you know what? It can happen to the best person. It happened to my dad. Luckily, it wasn't a lot of money, but he's a smart man. But after a while, I had to put stranger danger on the phone, because he didn't put two and two together, being very, lonely. I think that's the main thing, is people get lonely. They'll also look in the yellow pages, I don't know what I'm calling it, the yellow pages, but just for senior centers, anywhere, senior, people that live in 55 and plus, things like that. So,
I had a client that would call the police at night, in the middle of the night, and just talk to the dispatch for someone to talk to.
Wow, it's sad, but there's so many good reasons to have, someone like Jennifer there come in, and actually it's pretty affordable too. It's, the hours that that are recommended, or what are they?
So, like I said, it varies so much. We've got folks that use us 4 hours once a week. We have folks that have used us 24/7 for going on a decade, and we have every imaginable schedule in between. It's really dependent on what they need, is how we come up with that. And oftentimes we're doing things. We're getting out of the house. We're doing. We're going to the senior center together. We're going. A big popular one around here is go over to Scottsdale Fashion Square and just walk around, because mom's getting her exercise, but she doesn't really know she's getting her exercise. So PT wants her to walk, PT wants her to do all these things. She's prone to watching Blue Bloods on the couch, right? Over and over and
you can
over.
bring your dog.
So, right, and that is a great show once or twice a week, but not like 17 times a day.
Right.
So, and that's what will happen, is just our days stretch into days. So oftentimes when we start with our families, that's what we're looking at, is what does our client love to do? What did they used to do when they were at the prime of their life? And how can we modify that a little bit so that it works with them now?
Call early. Call now.
Early.
Yeah, and
wait.
get that friendship, and get that where you're used to going out and still doing things. Don't get used to sitting on on the chair and watching TV all day, because
Their
then it's
number,
harder.
their number again, it's 480-360-4141, and they're 5-star rated everywhere, and she's been doing this for over 20 years. She also lived it as well, yourself, you know. I also want to just really quickly tell us that we do have our lines open here, and I want people to be able to get out a little bit of the information of what they're going to get in this, in the will package. Tell them what they get.
So there's the last will and testament, there's the financial power of attorney, the medical power of attorney, the mental health power of attorney, and the living will, which is your last directives.
And then you can call her direct also. Her phone number is 602-457-2333. Her website is legalstuffaz.com, also A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. What else should we talk about with this?
You know, going back to that, and this is my experience, my personal experience as an adult daughter. My mother has since passed, but we went through the whole gamut, the start to end of the disease process. We went through everything together, oftentimes living together. It was a lot. But, you know, there were things that even I, having been in this industry for a very long time, did not know that is required in the state of Arizona. So we had a period of time where my mom was dealing with some medical issues based on the medication she was taking, and it was affecting her mind. Well, when we brought her to the hospital, she thankfully agreed to go into a psychiatric unit for just a few days to get this straightened out. But what I didn't know is, had she not agreed, I did not have a mental health power of attorney.
That's what I was just going to say.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you how many times people think they have it all covered, and it's not.
Well, what's sad is, you know, you go to different places. You go to your primary, and then you slip and fall. You go to the hospital, you go to rehab, and everybody does all these different medication assessments. So you're getting on like all these different things. That psych ward is amazing, and people get freaked out when they have to go there, but it's the best thing for them because they really figure out what you really need and they monitor it.
I wish they would have done that to my mother, because my mom, when she came home from wherever she was on, like, there was like 12 different medications. She weighed 82 pounds. I'm like, oh my God, that seems like an awful lot. We only had 4 days left with her because we didn't know that, but guess what? She ended up passing away. She had way too much medication in them. So it sounds, you know, and how do you know this until you listen to this show? That's what's so awesome about this show. And then you know who to call and who to talk to. You can call Tiffany direct. Their phone number is 480-360-4141. 5-star rated everywhere. The website is seniorhelpers.com. We do have our lines open here for everyone who's going to get entered in to win this power of attorney. It has everything, the will, the trust, the everything. It's a $495 value, free to you or anyone that you know. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. She's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and her phone number direct again, it's 602-457-2333. It's legalstuffaz.com, or call in here. That's what you should do at 602-277-5369.